Oh, I'm battery low.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll share.
Yeah.
We'll share.
Commissioners, I have 9 o'clock. We don't have an agenda other than to work on the beginning work of the budget for this year. So with that, Savannah, I'm going to turn it over to you and free range from here on. You don't need to address me or ask permission. This is a workshop.
Thank you. So what we are starting with, welcome to our first budget workshop. And it's a little earlier than we usually are, but I've asked the staff to approach the budget a little bit differently this year. We're actually trying to think about this fiscal year and then 2 more in the future, just so that we can anticipate what's coming. And so we're going to start with some of Barry's budget considerations this morning, and then we'll move from there. But our main purpose today is to talk about sanitation service options for 26-27. And Barry and Rachel have done all of this work. I just have kind of been in the background. So they're here to answer specific questions that you all have. They've done all of this analysis, but neither of them want to talk. So here I am doing the talking. Yes. Yeah. It was all I could do to get them to sit at this table right here. So. Yeah. That's right. Yes. Yeah. So what you all have in front of you, you have a PowerPoint presentation and then three different spreadsheets that show the current approach, what we're currently doing on sanitation, and then another option that they have analyzed is moving to our same system, doing it all in-house, but with a compactor truck. And then the third option that they have looked at is contracting sanitation services and making some significant upgrades to the convenience center. So we don't expect an answer today. This is to help you all start to think about evaluating costs and determining the best approach for us this next year. So Rachel was able to run all of these numbers, and she also used an AI ranking matrix to help evaluate some of this data, which I think is really helpful and useful. So we'll just go through the PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to start on page 4 because I've really covered all of the other stuff. So when we just get down to cost, contracting the service and doing the upgrades is the lowest cost scenario out of all 3 of these. The contracted service with the upgrades to the convenience center is the lowest cost scenario out of the 3. So I think contracting has some pros, which obviously includes reducing the workload on staff, and we can shift our efforts more to oversight and filling in any gaps, but it would move weekly pickup and brush, or no, we would still do brush and leaves, but just trash collection, weekly trash collection to the contracted service. So this would be once a week. And they did ask for numbers on collecting twice during the summer if that is the direction we're going to go this summer. You all just have to let us know that. We have those numbers as well. And this would allow Barry to make some staffing changes to his department, which I know he wants to make. Do you want to go over that really quickly? You got to use your mic.
With the workload that we're seeing amongst all of our departments, I would like to kind of move Drew into like an 80% with the streets, where I can put him to helping us get caught up on a lot of the street stuff.
Well, how's that? But, yeah, it's still keeping the fine stuff, the specialty stuff in-house to where I can keep Drew in that 20% and move him into helping us with what we've gotten with the streets department stuff.
So the contracted services for 26-27 comes out to $237,000, or $237,570. And we would keep 20% of Drew's salary in there. And then we would also add in the convenience center, concrete pad, sidewalk. We would do compactor dumpsters, and then we would also get some sort of keyless entry or gate modification to help ensure that only residents or folks with permission are using the dumpsters.
Yeah, I had a question about that.
Yes.
The increase that we see on the sanitation cost, the 5-year comparison, is that a big reason for the jump? Is just more usage, or are they just charging us more
You want to
year
talk
over
about
year?
that?
Let me think. So, yes, that
Okay.
would be the case. I mean, the boxes are costing us a lot to have them switched out, the monthly rental and everything. And the more that people use them, of course, the more we have to have them switched out, which is creating, that's what is really causing all of the costs to kind of jump in sanitation, is the convenience center and extra, box switch outs and stuff. So that's basically driving the cost in sanitation.
And that's part of the reason we would like to switch to compactors rather than traditional dumpsters, because they would have to be obviously changed out less frequently.
What we've been noticing with the tonnages, we've been monitoring the tonnages when they haul everything off. And the plan being is getting rid of 4 of our dumpsters that we have. We currently are keeping 8. So we're going to eliminate 4, and we'll move the 2 compactors that we currently own over to this site and have them upgraded with a door system similar to what we have over here, but it will cycle every 3 times to compact the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can cut these haul rates down dramatically with eliminating a lot of that and compacting everything and consolidating everything into one type system.
Couple questions. One, are we, Montreaters, pretty much exclusively using that now? Are you still catching a lot of folks?
It's still catching a lot of folks from surrounding communities. I mean, caught them yesterday, putting lumber inside the dumpster. Just happened to catch them turning in and just pulled up just to have a conversation. Had a good conversation, but it was like, hey, can't be using this. And their excuse was, well, we've been using it. So, yes, and I think the keyless entry thing is going to help us have a little bit more control on that. And it's also going to be a safety aspect. We don't have to worry about staff being talked bad to or anything like that. It'll be, Montretians and Montretians only. So.
Does the contracted services, do they pay their own county fees and so forth, or do we still pay Buncombe County?
So tipping fees are included in their contract cost. Is that not right? Okay, this is why you're here. Yeah.
Our tipping fees and whatever fees come from the landfill, they will just be taking care of their fleet, their trucks, their staff, and making sure that everything gets taken to the transfer station.
So we own the compactors, though. We purchase those. We don't lease
Yes, sir.
those.
We acquired those many years ago. Yes, sir.
And I've never seen the way that it works. I'm guessing they pull up in a truck and it empties the trash out into their truck. Is that correct?
They actually have to hook to the compactor and take it to the transfer station and dump it and then bring it back.
Bring it back. Okay.
Yeah. And the plan is to set one up as recycle and the other one as household trash. I think we can, with watching the tonnages that we're seeing from the compactor side and from the convenience center side, I'm thinking, just looking at what the capacity of those compactors are, I'm thinking we could consolidate everything.
Barry, do you take the recycle to Kirby?
Where they take the recycle to.
But we take it someplace?
They do. I don't know
They-
where they take the recycle to the whether it's at somewhere at transfer station or Kirby, I'm not for sure. But I can find out.
When you say they take it, you're talking about in the future?
Yes, Consolidated Waste. That's who currently removes our trash.
Oh, okay.
I know that, and you might be able to speak to this more, Savannah, than anybody, that Black Mountain switched to a vendor a number of years, well, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it was a bad experience for them.
I think they did the opposite, actually. They switched from a vendor to in-house and had a rough go.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
they did both. They were doing it in-house, they switched to a vendor, and then they went back. But
As
that's
far
not
as
the
I know,
case.
they're still doing it in-house.
Justin says no.
Yeah. No,
I'm
they're
a
still
resident
doing-
of Black Mountain, and they had one vendor, they went to a different vendor, and then they decided to bring it in-house, and it's been a continuous downward path.
Spoken with, or Rachel has kind of had a conversation with a couple of municipalities that are using the vendor that we're talking about here, and they seem to be very pleased. They
And-
work with the staff, they work with the community, and they are also willing to come in at a later date and sit down and talk with all of us about their services and what we're going to, require them too, so we can set
And
that
they
up.
have the capacity to pick us up?
Yes, that's what they're saying, yes, sir.
And one note, importantly, we will have to bid this out. This was an initial quote. We will have to do requests for proposals, and then we'll go with the lowest, most responsible bidder. But these are numbers to get a frame of reference. I don't imagine there's going to be anyone else bidding for our service because we have unique infrastructure here in terms of narrow roads. We don't have cans that they can use with a tipper truck, which is what most trash services have. So I don't anticipate we'll have a whole slew of companies putting in for it, but we will have to bid it out. But these will either be the numbers that we see or they would be lower than this. I just wanted to note that before we got too far down the road on a particular vendor.
Barry, you mentioned the compactor type thing at the convenience center, which would cut down on load. What's going to what will prevent from happening at the old, when we had a compactor over there, than now? Because I remember y'all spent a whole day getting a grill out of one of them.
Yes, sir. They're going to, the way they're going to upfit those compactors, you'll just be able to get like a bag of trash or something like that, and you won't be shoving a whole TV or a whole chair or something. It's going to be an actual enclosed hood with a door, like I say, that slides. It's going to look very similar to your door system you have over there that you slide. It's just going to have a trigger on the bottom to make that pump cycle every third time. So it should, restrict a lot of the stuff
Yeah,
that goes in.
Did we have a camera on the previous compactor?
No, sir.
I mean, I think if you have to scan your card to get in, so I'm assuming that keeps a record of who comes in and out. I'm assuming
I'm sure it
would.
can be set up that
And
way.
you've got a camera on it, I would, and then if there's a sign, I would probably need to put a sign up like, only bags, none of these things, and we have
We
a
can
sign
do-
up.
We can definitely change the signage that's there, or we can upgrade it to, whatever verbiage y'all would like to have.
Yeah.
So,
Barry, a lot of the commercial use the cans that they pick up with an arm and do it. Are they going to still collect bags, or are they going to require you to have their?
from what I can understand, they're going to just pick up and adapt to what system we have. They're just going to pick up the bags out of the cans. They were aware in our previous meeting that we were going to bear-proof containers. So, from what I can understand, they're going to adapt to what we need.
Any other questions on the contract service?
this cost of 237,570, there's another 80% of Drew's salary someplace else. Is that correct?
Streets Department.
Is this amount 237 per year, or is that just the first year?
At that spreadsheet, the next purple line shows what it would,
I see, oh, I see. Oh, nice.
And just a note on moving the bulk of Drew's salary to streets versus keeping it in sanitation. We are at the point where whether we go with contract service or we stick with in-house sanitation and we keep Drew on sanitation or someone on sanitation, Barry is at capacity with his staff. He is going to either need to hire an employee. If we keep services in-house, he'll need to hire someone. And if we move to contract services, then Drew would just be taking the spot in streets rather than hiring someone. And that, he's ready to add a person. I think that he's got enough work for probably twice the amount of people he has working over there.
But you'd only have Drew 80% in streets. Is that, what are you going to do about the other 20% that you give up?
Will be him doing his brush on Wednesdays and all the,
I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you need another person in streets, you're only getting 0.8 of a person.
Right. And well, best I can say right now is we'll just see how it goes, is the best I can tell you. Just an example of what we're seeing in our current situation. In the summertime and in the fall, you take Drew with his guys picking up trash. By 3 o'clock, we're all picking up trash. You're seeing Michael, myself, Jared, Daniel, we're all spread out picking up trash. And that doesn't, financially make any sense to be paying these different rates to pick up trash. And it's just an overload. And you can see now the brush and leaves this week took Drew 2 days alone. 2 full days of picking up brush and leaves this week. And when everybody starts coming into town, he'll actually start on Tuesdays, and he'll do that. We're in the sanitation part at a max capacity. So, and our current situation's just not, in my eyes, isn't feasible anymore, really. Sustainable.
My only concern is, would the contractor know what he's getting himself into?
Well, like I say, them freeing us up for that 1 day or 2 days, whichever day, y'all decide for a pickup, that would free us up quite a bit. And they're just doing the household. Sure. So,
I do think that they have a pretty good idea of what to expect. They've been up here. They're pretty familiar. CWS is pretty familiar with Montreat. So I think that they're being realistic about what to expect.
Is the contract year to year?
I think
this quote is
year to year.
Once we see a direction, we can negotiate what we want. That's kind of what I see. Once we see a direction, then we go to the table and really start hammering out the.
I guess I stole your mic.
That's all right.
So the quote the quote that Barry got actually has 3 years of pricing. So these 3 years are what they actually gave us in their proposal. I will say that the municipality that I talked to that uses them said, because I said, do you have any issues other than the occasional missed trash? And she's like, no. And if we have somebody that they missed their trash, they come directly out and get it. So yes, we'll be here, but they actually, if we needed, they could still come back out and, swing back around or whatever and pick it up.
will they still do the back door for those who pay for it?
From what I can understand, yes, sir.
We'll probably have to end up giving an income up to them, right?
They back the,
So when we were figuring it, we kept the backdoor pickup just in case, because we don't know that they're gonna go to the back doors and be able to do that. Even though she did say to Barry that they would do it, I think it's better to keep that at least in-house, because then we're gaining that revenue, but we're also providing that special service to the munch raiders, so.
How many backdoor pickups do we have?
Angie?
So compared to when I first started, when it was just a strictly summer, we have different levels now. We have an annual, we have every 3 months, we have just a specific time. So grand total, I would say probably about 25 households.
Savannah, one thing that concerns me is that we really need to get the word out that our convenience center is not for everybody. Is there any way to staff that for a period of time until the word gets out that you can't just go over there and dump without having to talk to somebody, and and then we can do away with that? But that still concerns me, because people are going to use it if we don't come up with some method of enforcing it.
Justin, do you want to talk about cameras and license plates? And so we do have a better enforcement mechanism now. As of last night, we can slap a $1,000 fine on someone who is violating the convenience center, but we were actually talking about that this morning.
So with the fines that can now be levied, the cost of camera systems that we have now, we have 2 that are operable. So one is a license plate reader, has license plate reader capabilities. So that with that one, we get an image of every tag that goes by that one. So with proper placement, whether they pull in, whether they back in, and when they pull away, with the proper camera angle over there, with one citation, you would basically fund that camera. Anything above that would be revenue, and Savannah now has a means to actually follow through and obtain that revenue. So you could easily put one camera over there, capture license plates, and then we could follow up from there with actually levying the civil penalty to the offender. So that, coupled with, if you're able to do the whatever the mechanism to securing it is, whether it's a key fob, a key card like we use here at the office, all of that's going to go a long way, just because it's not going to be open and unmanned. You wouldn't really have to man it once that gate is constantly secured, and you got to have that keyless entry mechanism to enter or exit. And to your point, Grant, yeah, we could easily get, if there was an offender through a grill or some lumber or whatever, we could get that timeline, we could look at footage. And I don't know how often do you think that would be located or found? Would it jam up the compactor? I mean, that would be my concern. If something like that did make it through.
It wouldn't jam up the compactor. It'll run on through. Currently, the way the compactors are, you can put something in there big enough to jam it up, and that's what Mr. Helms was talking about, us having to go in there and actually fish out huge chunks of furniture and stuff. But with the upgrades, you won't be able to put anything in there that it won't crush.
With the upgrades there and then one camera, I think you would have a very secure convenience center that you shouldn't have any worries
I'd
with.
make one suggestion. If we could just simply quickly get a sign out
Yeah.
saying there's a $500 or $1,000 fine,
Big sign.
big sign, that's gonna stop 90% of the people fairly. There's a big fine, and we got a good camera, and 90% of the people won't take the chance.
So just for clarity, the camera is not there yet. I don't, that would have to be approved and placed and things of that nature. But, and the resolution was passed last night, Savannah, so now that that's been passed, yes, we can change the verbiage and get that signage up for you.
And I think we could work next week, Savannah, and I could work on the verbiage and whatever you wanted, and I can have a sign ordered, and on its way very quickly.
And I'm not opposed to staffing it, but I think we're dialing in really on making it more secure than it has been in the past.
Yes.
I think if you do those things, if you have a camera, a key fob system, and a big sign, I think it'll be a lot more secure than it is. I mean, at that point, if you go,
I hate to
put
say it,
trash-
guys, I think we're being optimistic on that 90% number. Angie has just had a hellish experience with that,
Yes.
that whole thing. And we got people who are confronted, and instead of saying, I'm sorry, I'll get it out of there, they swear at her. There's no teeth in it. Now there will be some teeth.
Yeah.
But you've still got folks that don't care. And
We're gonna have to start going after those people.
we are, but
Well, I think, yeah,
Uh,
part of the ordinance allows us to now do that. We didn't really have that mechanism.
it does. But there's a difference between an immediate capture of someone or stopping them from versus 2 weeks later they get a citation, or a week later they get a citation for $1,000 and nothing happens for a while, and then finally we end up calling the agency that we'll be working with. So months could go by, and they've been back 3 or 4 times since then.
Yes, currently, because they do have an easy means of ingress and egress. If you get the key fob system, they're not even going to have the ability to enter.
You're right. And I guess I'm just thinking of between now
Right.
and
Until
then,
those measures,
until
those
the
security
summertime.
measures are in.
And I think one way that we can handle that is by asking the police to have a more visible presence when they're available up there. And then, just do our best to capture people. But like I said, I'm not opposed to staffing it. I'm not sure who this time of year we could get to do that, but
But if you
we can
got-
give it some thought.
Yeah, mid-June, might get a high schooler trying to make some easy money to sit out there or something, but
Yeah.
they're not gonna have much enforcement, you know what I mean? 17, 18-year-olds.
With this new ordinance coming in with teeth, I have a feeling that with Justin and my crew, they're gonna be looking for somebody now. I have a feeling
Yeah,
that,
the issue on
that
that
it-
front was we didn't have the teeth. to
Yes.
stand by. The way the ordinance was prior to, there was just not much.
with this
enforcement
bite,
action.
it's going
Yeah.
to give a little bit of fresh air
Yeah, I think this.
to,
Yeah.
they'll watch us like a hawk. It's gonna be,
I look forward to it. Thank
I think
you.
it's gonna, I
You're
think
welcome.
it's gonna be, an eye-opening
The
deal.
sign should say something like, "You will be fined
Yeah.
$500 for using this."
We'll probably just pull the
Convenience.
language directly out of the ordinance, and it does say shall be fined.
Yeah.
Any other questions on contracting services before we talk about in-house options? Okay. So another scenario that they discussed would be in-house and purchasing a compactor truck. And that is significantly more expensive, particularly in the first year, because we would have to buy a contractor truck. So we're looking at almost $397,000 for fiscal year 26, 27 for that option. Barry, do you want to talk about a little bit about what that would look like?
Well, have seen the smaller compactor truck that Black Mountain uses. It would be an identical unit, just to get around on these tight roads. The only key is we have to have a site. If the truck has to sit overnight, say he takes all day and doesn't have a chance to get to the transfer station, we have to have a site for that truck to park, and it's got to be specific for, in case there's a leak or something, it's got to be all contained. No, sir. We don't have anything to where we could keep something, overnight for that type of system. The only thing too with the compactor truck, and talking to other people that's got them, is the maintenance and upkeep. These things, the first year you're okay. After that, you're turning bolts, fixing hoses constantly. So, but yeah, it's just basically it would take the place of our compactor system over here right now. You know, each one of these scenarios is containing that convenience center upgrade that we discussed. But this truck would actually just be, you know, just the trash, the household pickup part of it. It's changing the way we do that instead of handling it twice, picking it up, throwing it in the truck, and then getting in the truck and throwing it in the compactor. This is just you're handling it one time, is what we're changing.
And that's part of what takes up so much of the time
Some of the-
while they're doing trash pickup, is that they are physically picking the trash up twice, which is, well, yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. So that takes up a lot of time. It's also not very safe. So this would eliminate the second handling of all of the trash. Yeah. So any questions on that option? And Josh is reminding me to ask you all to use your mics. Thank you.
As would the first option, the contracted with upgrades. That would eliminate the double handling as well.
So, that being said, the last option would be just to keep things the way that they are and do the upgrades to the convenience center, but then otherwise keep things the same and just keep the service in-house, which, you know, I think there are pros and cons. I would like to give contracted services a go. I think it's a good option for us. There are pros and cons to everything. The major pro of keeping it in-house is, of course, we have total control of what happens. I do think that the contracted services, that they're going to be flexible enough, and we've gotten good feedback from the other municipalities that they service, that we're not going to have many issues. But it also takes a huge burden off of Barry's staff, both, like I said, in handling trash, time, and then also a huge waste of time for the entire Public Works team to spend every Monday afternoon picking up trash. You know, from Drew to Barry, everybody's Monday is pretty much consumed by that. So it would give the entire staff more time to work on other things as well.
Make a point, Barry, I think following up on your staff bringing up time, I think you're going to need to, switching over to the barrel-proof containers, that's going to take some staff time, particularly the first year. And you're going to need to assign that to Drew or somebody to be following up and monitoring what's going on and informing people in a nice way, because we don't want to jam this down people's throat, in a nice way, sending out notices. I mean, there's going to be a process. It's not, you can't just, it's not going to do itself.
That's right, yes.
Do it, and freeing up staff time would be another plus in order to make that transition to barrel-proof containers in the time that's going to require.
I agree with you. And Barry and I have also discussed the possibility of, if we do go with contracting service, you know, handing over the responsibility of coordinating with the contractor, you know, doing all of the admin side of things to someone on his staff, just to have somebody else maybe shoulder some of the admin responsibility for Barry, and just really try to get this off of his plate and free him up for stuff that is more pertinent to his job.
If you look at the current scenario and you look at the year over year, keeping it in-house, the way that we're doing is going to continue to go up. And with the contracted, it's going to be down year over year, except for, you know, especially as we get more control over the convenience center.
Rach, there are two scenarios on the current scenario on each side. What's the difference?
Oh, I think that's just is it?
Well, the numbers are different, though.
I think the other side is the contracted with upgrades.
It is.
And it's labeled.
Sorry about that. I just didn't delete the second page.
Okay.
So it's the current scenario, and the yellow line should be 290,730. Then next, the 27-28 year will be 343,133, because Barry will have to add another pickup truck because of the state of the truck currently.
What's your preference, Barry?
I think, like Ms. Savannah was saying there, let's look into the contracted out with the upgrades is kind of where I'm looking at. And it's also where, you know, kind of the dollars is also talking a little too. But I think it would help us. And another thing in this whole mix of thing is, you know, even the current scenario, and I'm not going to mention company names, but contract services that we use for our sanitation over the years has depleted as far as the quality of folks that we get. We're having to deal with several different scenarios, several different scenes. Mr. Whitson has witnessed several of these. We have safety issues of, can you stand on that truck? Can you ride on that truck? Are you able to function an 8 or 10 hour day? A lot of times, no. We get 3 hours out of them and gotta get a fresh. So that's an unknown that we have to deal with. Sometimes they don't show up. And then two of us are riding on the back of the truck. So that, in this current scenario, that to me is one of our biggest liabilities that we need to address. And we have looked at several different ways, and they just didn't work. Part-time help or, workforce, that's even worse. So we need to step away and get away from that liability. So I'm thinking the in-house or the contracted services with the upgrades is going to be our best bet for right now. And worst case scenario, we just pick it right back up. We know how to go with it, and we'll run with it till we figure something else out.
Yeah, I don't see any major risk in trying it for a year. The upgrades that we're going to make, we need to make anyway, in any scenario. So I just don't see a major risk in it.
I don't either. I think that it's a relatively risk-free. It's obviously not something that we've done. So it's going to be new to all of us. I'm sure that there will be some things that have to be ironed out and some growing pains. But I think it's worth giving it a try for a year, particularly because it does end up costing less. And, at least for the next couple of years, I'm sure that the contract would go up after that. But, there are some unknowns, things that we would have to deal with. But I think for the next year, it seems like a pretty low-risk option just to see how it works for us.
And I also think that we're small enough town, and we're tight enough to where if something does start to go sideways, we can snatch it pretty quick and get it lined out, is what I'm thinking.
2 observations. I sign checks every time Angie calls me to sign checks, and I am astounded at the amount of the tipping fees that have gone up through the years. So you might just see a line on this graph, but they're phenomenal, the amount of money we pay. And the other observation is the guys that ride the back of our trucks, they're temps. They can't get jobs or usually get jobs anywhere else. This goes back to the time Bill drove that truck. Bill used to have problems with it periodically, and I know that Drew does. And the liability that's there, but they're not the most reliable people in the world riding the back of that truck.
And I think, for all the staff, everyone who works here wants to be working here. We all care about this community. We want to provide a very high level and good quality service to the folks who live in town. And I think that we do a very good job with trash, but it's becoming a little bit unmanageable in terms of both staff time and cost. So, I do. I think it's time to give something else a try. But I'm not asking anybody to, I'm not asking for you all to make a decision today. We just wanted to present the information, give it to you, and let you think about it. And maybe next time we meet, we can land on where we want to go from here. But it really was just for your awareness at this point.
I think I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think one of the hassles is going to be with the fobs, especially with renters. They're going to forget and take them home or whatever. So I hope the fob system would have a way that if they have to replace it, they pay for it and deactivate the old one.
Yep.
And that's pretty easily done. So I have the wonderful privilege of giving everyone their little access cards that will access the office. And they're very easy to go in, deactivate, make a new one. You can assign, names and stuff to them so you know who has a hold of which one. And then I don't think it would be any problem at all to make a reasonable fee if it does get lost or taken.
Barry, can you explain to me the difference between the contracted dumpster fees and the tipping fees, exactly what that difference is?
Dumpster fees is that listed as the rentals and the hauls, and the tipping fees are what we receive from the landfill, correct? Yep.
And that's charged based on
That's
poundage or?
On tonnage, yes, sir.
Yep, tonnage.
And we'll have those in any one of these three.
That's
sections.
regardless. That's something that it is what we get. Yes, sir.
So the increase in the dumpster fees is just, again, that's just due to the amount of times that it's having to be hauled off, like the
from
frequency.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And how many we have rented. Like I say, we have 6 of their, I done away with 2 of them and started with another vendor on 2 of them. So I currently have 4 of their dumpsters that I have rented right now. And those, from what I can understand, all of that's going to be going up, the rental, and the hauls are going to be going up. So, and I think if we can just consolidate everything down, and like I say, I'm trying this other vendor on 2 dumpsters. If he does really good on hauls, we might even be able to save on that. I'm just kind of dipping my toes in water here and there just to see which is going to work best for us on the current.
I think your current scenario is actually low because it doesn't include the convenience center upgrades too, which we would. Does it?
It includes the number, it doesn't include the comments.
Oh, yeah, the comment's not on there.
What's not on there?
The 56.
Well, keyless entry, great. Modifications, because we'd probably still do that anyway. I mean,
Right,
you got.
so it's there under capital outlay, the amount is there, just the comment is not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yes.
I got you.
When are you going to do the upgrade to this?
Once our CIP and budget's approved, I will have some of the upgrades done as soon as possible. But like the concrete pad and the work where I have to shut down the convenience center, I'm thinking after the summertime rush, because I don't want to shut that service down for a lengthy amount of time during our busiest time of the year. But I'm thinking the gate and stuff like that where we can secure it as soon as possible. Once we see that we're approved, I'll make the call to the vendors on that stuff and have that stuff moving.
Thanks for all this work.
Exactly what we talked about, but leaves and corruption, things like that. What is that cost? That's not in here.
That is included in with the hauls and the tipping fees. That's all, every one of our services that go to the transfer station, which that's where they take our brush and leaves to now, because we just put it in an open top because we don't have a site for disposal. It all goes to the landfill.
And they would still be picking up bags the way we always have, or I guess the way we did this past year, where it can be a plastic bag or
Yes, sir, with it
paper
going
bag.
to the landfill, There's no restriction
have
on
to be
how we pick
compostable.
it up or what we pick up.
And you don't see any solution, a short-term solution in sight for going back up to Oklahoma and dumping it in the,
No, sir.
that won't happen?
No, sir, I don't see that happening. That was that was a blessing we had for a little while and got taken away, unfortunately.
Any other trash-specific budget questions? If not, I think that's where I'll leave it for today. The next time we meet, we will try to hit all of Barry's other departments and probably get started on police as well. But I thought this was enough that it deserved its own meeting. And this is going to be likely our biggest change that we're asking for this year, so I wanted you all to have plenty of time with it.
Thank you, Savannah. Thank you, Barry, Rachel, for all the work
Can
you've done. And
Can I just make one comment?
no,
You know I will, anyway, right? I would just urge you all, you have the flavor, we're with you. I would urge you to make those convenience center changes as quickly as you can, even if it's in this year's budget.
If I've got the money, we'll make it happen. Y'all know that, so.
I second what Tom says. I think if we can get a convenience center in our grip. We got the
Yeah,
money.
I think so too. Okay, well, you've got your marching orders. Thank you. Okay.
Will it be worth a mailing for this big of a change, to mail a card to everybody?
That's a good
So
thought.
everybody knows about it?
Yeah,
'Cause
we
it's
do-
going to be confusion.
We don't have that budgeted right now, but I think that it would be worth it. I think that that's a very good idea. So we'll add that in.
When you say a card, you mean an access card?
No, a
You know,
mailing.
like
Oh,
a
we're going to do
postcard.
that anyway. We're working on the Q&A of the new sanitation ordinance.
Okay.
So
and
yeah,
that-
we could roll this into that. Okay, good.
okay, if no one has anything else, we'll stand adjourned until next time Savannah needs us.
Yes, and we'll try to, I would like to have the recommended budget to you all by early May, so I'm going to try to move pretty quickly from here. So everybody buckle up and get your budget hats on, and we'll try to churn it out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Savannah.
Yep.